Pirates in the top 8. Never forget it. They beat us 5-0 at Rand Stadium. The supporters wanted to kill me. I had to go in the police escort under the kit at the back of the boot of the car. There again, people say, you know, when you read things in the newspaper like, I sold this one. I don't sell the players, I'm the coach. The club sell the players, but they want financial, they see the money.
They need the money and
then they say, well, get on with it. They say, oh, this is a better coach than this coach because of his record. The best coaches are the ones who work with nothing and produce something. But it's so much easier when you got the best quality. So you ask the Pep Guardiola, put Pep Guardiola in charge of Stoke City.
He's not winning the league, no chance. Did you want Teko to leave? Because I know you guys went to Australia.
Here we go. So, you know, I'll sit in the media and I'll listen to Teko talk. And he talks the biggest load of nonsense because that's not the truth. Daine Klate is like a bottle of tomato sauce.
Hi, Coach Gavin, how are you?
I'm okay, man.
Coach, with the limited time that we have, you've recently done 1,000 games, I think. So I think what we want to touch on today, and obviously you've had such a long career, there's no way we can go into detail. We'd be here the whole day.
So
we'll just touch on a few aspects of your career, some of the clubs, and we also just want to discuss some of the current things that are happening in our football.
Sure.
Coach, if we can just start with your career. You were a player, you played.
I played for Hellenic, 81 to 94. So came to the junior ranks at amateur clubs. Amateur clubs, you know, amateur football was very good in those times. And that's where a lot of the scouting took place, and got scouted from there used to be an inter-schools competition throughout the country. So, and we got to the final of that, the Cape Town team, our team in Cape Town got to the final of that twice. And obviously got scouted from there. And I got signed at Hellenic at 17, 18. And I made my debut, and that was it.
And back then, I mean, football was not, as I understand it, way before my time, but it was not fully professional at some point.
No, well, we weren't fully professional. Sort of amalgamation took place in about 78. When all the leagues, they came together in that 78, 79. I only came in obviously 81. So I came through the tough times when there's a lot of teething problems. Well, there still is, but generally then there was a lot of problems, and it was really tough. But the football then was, we obviously we all had to work, and then we trained in the evenings, we got paid for it, which was sort of semi-professional, but the game only sort of went, I would think about in the later 90s.
When the PSLs.
When 98, 97, 98, where after the Nations Cup, it went sort of full-time-ish. Salaries jumped considerably. More money came into the game. But we were pretty much part-timers, all working, had jobs. Go to work at 7, come home at 5, go to training at 6, hop at 6, And that's how it worked.
And in terms of quality, do you think it showed? Like, was there a big difference in the players that you see now and then, bearing in mind that now they're fully professional? And all
Huge difference. People can say what they like. There's a saying in football: the older you get, the better you think you were. If you ask anybody, you ask your parents.
They think everything was better
then. But believe me, it was. I think things were. I think the players had a lot more. Game intelligence. I think there was a lot more around game intelligence. There was a lot more around the game, where today it's broken down into training sessions and this and fitness and diets and we try to eat quite professionally. We had a guideline, but certainly the training was very running-based training, not very ball-based training. So those type of things, the things have changed completely, and the game has changed. Has it changed for the better? I don't know. Has it changed for the worse? I don't know. So, but I certainly feel that we played a lot in the junior football. We played a lot more football. So the game taught us more than certainly I think it's. I mean, I look at some of these kids now that play under 14, under 15. They're playing 20 games a year. I mean, are you joking? We used to play 20 games a month. From our school and play for a club and. So there was a lot more football. I thought the game was a better teacher.
And how was it playing? Because, I mean, this is the period when your Kaizer Chiefs, Pirates, they were massive. I mean, they still are.
Well, Pirates were a big club, but they weren't very good in the 80s. I mean, there were a lot of relegation. Yeah, they won a cup here and there, but in the 80s, they were a poor team.
Was it a Chiefs era?
They should have got relegated. 1 or 2 years. Pirates. Chiefs was the team. There was no Sundowns. Mamelodi United.
Yes, it was Mamelodi United.
Maybe the grey and black team. And they sort of, there and thereabouts until Mohopi came in and put all the money in. Well, where he got the money is another story. So Chiefs was the biggest team. Pirates obviously had the following. Swallows was obviously very big in the 80s, Swallows and Chiefs were really the sort of two big teams. Pirates was very big, obviously, but certainly they've always had internal problems there, and then until they sorted their club out, and they were a different club after that.
And I've heard you say before that playing against someone like Teenage was like a nightmare. Actually.
Well, I think for me in today's football, there's not enough footballers. So what do you mean by that? I said people who had that natural ability and the flair, and a guy like Teenage, I mean Teenage was like a left winger but he would go get the ball from the goalkeeper and play 1-2s up the field. He was just a natural footballer, beautiful balance, rhythm, speed, quickness. I mean, if you looked at him, you think, oh, there's nothing of him. But he was so balanced and graceful. He sort of, as I always say, if there was snow, he wouldn't make any footprints on the snow. Because he ran so beautifully on the top of it, the grass and the balance and everything. And there's a player like that certainly, could have played at a much better level than at what he played at here. But he was a huge hero, and still he's for me, one of my fan favorites. Obviously played against him lots of times, but difficult games.
Then, Coach, when you retired, you then went into coaching. Was it something that you
So when I was playing to earn extra money, we used to coach at schools. So that's what I say. What doesn't happen a lot to these professional footballers today? They train in the daytime. They finish after lunch or whatever. They should be coaching at schools. So what I did, I went to coach at a schools. So earn extra money. It was good money. It was more money than I was earning in playing. So I got into that coaching bug. I was in my early 20s. So I coached at schools, and then I got chosen. Funny how it works, eh? I got chosen for the provincial under 16 the coach team. They asked me, can I coach the provincial teams, which was Western Province then down there. So I said, sure. And then I went, luckily enough, it was the tournament we had off period, and I went to the tournament. Then they picked me for the South African under 16 coach. I was only 20 year old. Wow. 23, 24. And we only played one game or whatever. And then the sort of went from there, and the bug sort of bit, and I was coaching all through my playing career, but coaching kids, which is not really it was a bit difficult for me. And then obviously when I had a bad injury, I was about 32, 33. I snapped my Achilles tendon, and I was 9 months out. We had no medical aid. You're on your own. You had no rehabs like they do today. I mean, the player comes back from Achilles tendon after 7, 8 months, you're back. I was 9 months crutches, we couldn't walk. And obviously it was affecting my job because we had, tried to look after my job. I couldn't, and I was a rep on the road. So I was in and out of a car all day. I couldn't walk. I couldn't drive a car properly. So my bosses weren't very happy with me. So I thought, and then a guy offered me a job at Vasco da Gama, which was my first coaching job. He said, what are you doing? I said, well, I'm not going to play for the next first 6 months, 8 months. He said, why don't you come coach your team? I said, okay, I'll do it for a short time.
Where was Vasco there? In what league? And
they were in the Vela League.
Okay.
Which is the Masepi League.
Yes.
Which is the first division. So, and I did that for about 3 months. Never got paid. So I stopped there, and then I went to 7 Stars, and then I sort of went from there.
And that 7 Stars setup, that's where you discovered a young Benni.
Yeah, Benni was 17, and the first day I walked in there, I said, this boy will play in Europe. They said to me, you're joking. And I was proved right. At the end of that season, we sold him to Ajax Amsterdam for $1 million, I think it was.
It was a lot of money back then.
Jeez, we bought combis and buses. And I always said today, that club, 7 Stars, would have been challenging the top clubs in this country. But it had all the infrastructure, all the marketing. We had Adidas sponsorship, Pick and Pay. We had an owner that was very forward-thinking, Rob Moore. A guy that was way ahead of his time in South African football.
Yes.
And it would have been a huge club today. And the 7 Stars was the 7 townships in Cape Town. And we had a good support base. We had a more black team than a colored team in Cape Town. So it was a different concept, a different feel to the thing. And what he did very cleverly, he got those old ex-Kaizer Chiefs players. Chippa Molatedi, Trevor Matankulu, Henry Gonwe. Who else did I have there? I'm talking now, you're talking 90s now. I'm going back a few years. You know? So, and then we created the support base, and that club would have been huge. I mean, we played Chiefs. I think we had more supporters than Chiefs that day. You know, and we lost to Sundowns in the semi-final of the Bob Save on penalties.
Yes.
That team had Chuku, Fatumba. We were a first division team. We lost on penalties. That was the only game we lost. We went 78 games unbeaten. Yeah.
You then find your way to Hellenic.
I went back there. So what happened is my brother-in-law at that time, Mark Byrne, was running the youth academy, and he was taking the first team, but he wanted to run the youth. And I think me and Rob Moore had come to an end.
Yeah.
I was there 4 years. They wanted to go the Dutch route.
Yeah.
They saw their backsides eventually about that, which is good.
Yeah.
Because they find that, you know, always something foreign is better than local, which they always do. And after 6 months, they fired the foreigner. They brought back a local, and the team went back.
Yeah.
That was after I left. And I went back to Hellenic. And what happened at Seven Stars, that they wanted me to go full time. And I had a very good job. And I said, well, I could train in the mornings like we did and still do my job. But they said, no, you've got to be full time. And Hellenic said, no, you can keep your job and we'll pay you double your money.
So you had another job outside football?
I had football. I was an agent. I used to sell. There was a brand called Mitre. Do you ever heard of Mitre?
Mitre, the soccer balls.
Soccer balls.
Yeah.
I was an agent for them.
Okay.
So Jingles Ferreira, you know Jingles Ferreira?
Jingles Ferreira, yeah.
He was an agent in Gauteng. I was an agent in Western Cape. And down in Durban was a Grant McDade. He played for Durban United. We had all these agents around the country. So we sold balls and kit and shin guards and to all the retail stores. It was a good job.
Yes.
It was a good business, you know. And they wanted me to give that up. I said, no way, you're joking. Because I can get fired tomorrow and I lose my job. So, And then Hellenic, obviously I played there 14 years and they said, come back. And so it was a bit of a smooth transition for me. I just went across the next week, you know.
But at the time, Hellenic was like it was a well-structured team, wasn't it?
Great structured club, youth development club.
Yeah.
The first best youth development club in the country. Nobody. They won that the Caltex Colts League. Remember, it was a Caltex Colts League in South Africa.
Yes,
they won that league hands down many times. Produced so many players to the first team. The club was all about youth development, producing their own players. Obviously, cut costs and then sell.
Yeah.
So you know, owners cut, produce, sell, which is pretty much experienced now most of my life. So you can never be a coach where you can say, well, I want him. You sort of getting him and then building him and then selling him. And then you sit with the problems afterwards. So, yeah, that's what happened. And we had a very good season or two. And then the third season, I think it was about the third season there, we hit a bit of a speed bubble. We sold our striker to Denmark. We sold our goalkeeper to Norway, Miel Baron. We sold Bradley August to Denmark. We sold one or two of our players. I mean, just couldn't, you know.
Did you coach the Grant Young?
I played with Grant, and I obviously coached him. There was quite a few players actually that I played with and coached. Michael Allen, he was
the left winger, I think.
Michael Allen was a centre midfield player.
Left-footed though?
No, right-footed.
Okay. But he worked for kickoff or something?
He was a kickoff director.
Yes, I know Michael Allen.
He was kickoff and touchline media. At those times, they started kickoff. So he played for me. I played with him. Grant Young, I played with and coached. Craig Rosley. I played with and coached. There's quite a few. There's a whole lot of lists. So it was I enjoyed my time back there, but I knew it was a stepping stone for me just to get a bit more experience. I was just starting out, you know. And then obviously that came to an end very dramatically. And then, you know, it's amazing how owner of a football club, he's passed away today. He phoned me 6 months later and said, listen, I made the biggest mistake of my life. Please come back. Sure. And that's when I said no. You know, then I was already on my way, you know.
But I mean, if you had a Hellenic and you're doing well, a structured team, you know.
I was in Cape Town. I'm from Cape Town. It's my home team I played for. The marriage was made in heaven. And they just had to be a little bit patient.
How do you then find yourself
in Venda?
Well, that's an interesting story. I mean, I've told this 100 times. David Adela was... So David Adela was... he was in the police force and he did Kaiser Chief security.
Yeah.
And then he ended up being the PSL security. Mm-hmm. So when Hellenic used to come up, you know, those days you needed security because it was a bit violent in the stadiums. And I'll tell you stories in the stadiums, you know. So we had to, and so I knew David. And I was out of work. And I got a phone call out of the blue, 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I think it was about 3 weeks to go before the start of the and they just got promoted
Yeah,
to the PSL. He said to me, listen, hey, come here, and blah, blah. So I packed a bag about this big, thinking I'm going for the weekend, and I ended up being there a year. And it was one of the best years of my life.
And how was the adjustment? Because
Huge.
And I mean, I don't mean to say this in a bad way.
No.
But obviously, you can't compare like a structure like Hellenic with like a Black
Well, you had
Leopards.
you had a club that was there for 20, 30 years, 40 years. You had good structure, good paying systems. Not that the pay wasn't very good, but you had, you got your money on time. There was training facilities. Everything was done properly. Where you go to Black Leopards, it's a new club, just come in the league, just in the PSL. There's a lot. David obviously very experienced, knows the league, but in terms of running the club, a lot had to be done. So, with a little bit of experience I had and David's experience, I think we put it on on a nice path, and then obviously, I think we had a fantastic season.
And in terms of off the field, I mean, a white boy grew up in Cape Town.
Yeah.
Being in Venda as the Mlungu, how is it?
Yeah.
how is
Well, firstly, I don't have to tell you, it's 40 degrees there every day.
Yeah. I'm from up there. So.
You know. So Toando, Sabasa, Sabasa.
Yeah.
The top of the.
Yes.
We trained there. That was the biggest problem I had, and I think it was a big for David, who living in Johannesburg at the time. I said we need a facility, David, to train. You can't. And I think that's the biggest problem in the PSL. And I think the PSL has to have better standards and things put on the club, conditions that where do you train? What facilities? I don't want to mention the club's name, but these big clubs, people who are well up in the echelons of football, and you've seen where their teams train.
Yeah, not all of them have.
That's a disgrace. And that's been the biggest problem in South Africa. When a club gets sold or a franchise gets sold, you're selling a franchise. You're not selling a training facility, office, asset. There's nothing. There's just a bus and players and a shell. And I think we're not leaving anything behind. So when we pass on, I think people are passing on through the game, but not leaving anything behind, not building anything. It was like South Africa, isn't it? There's nothing been built. There's no infrastructure. There's no. And people are just looking after today and not worried about tomorrow. And we should leave. I always say, when we leave football, we should leave it in a better place than when we found it.
Correct.
And I don't think we're doing that in South Africa. It's a big gripe of mine that PSL clubs, you must see where the players are changing in their cars. It's unacceptable. For this day and age, it's unacceptable.
And I mean, you coached too, like the likes of Coxwell?
Rachivadelo.
Yeah.
That's an interesting story. He was at Dynamos, which is the biggest opposition to Black Leopards.
Yeah.
So we had to get him. I think David paid 10,000 Rand for him. And I said, no. He said, no, I'm not paying you. I said, David, we need this guy. This is a guy that can help us. And, he was proved right. He was fantastic for me. And we still talk today. He works in correctional services. Oh, okay. He's got a job there at Leopards.
Yes.
Yeah, we still talk today.
Okay. And you had a great season there?
We were second at halfway.
I remember.
I arrived there 3 weeks before the season started. We hardly had a nucleus of players.
Yes.
But we needed certainly few players extra, and it was a rush job. I didn't know the players; they didn't know me. I mean, it was really but it was a match made in heaven. We hit it straight away, and the attitude of the players, the people are the best thing there in Venda.
Yeah.
And I don't mean it. I'm not saying this because obviously. But the people are fantastic people. They were supportive to the team. They came in the stadium. We used to fill that stadium.
Yeah.
Gee whiz, the game, and we beat, some of the games we beat Chiefs there 3-0. What a game. I can never forget it, And we built a team there around Malondo. Remember Sikwevili? We had Coxwell. We had Tlamini. We had Vusi Karive, McDonald, Nashidive, Christopher
Nashidive.
I had, people. Togozani Manguni at the back.
At the back there, yeah.
Lil Masuto was my goalkeeper, was coaching now.
He was now a coach, yeah.
Godfrey Ramazuli, Raymond Sineo. We had really a good team there.
We had a good team
there, Hardworking, honest.
And then Swallows, I think a lot of people really, everyone saw what you did at Leopards, but I think Swallows was when most people really started to take.
With Swallows, you'll get more recognition, wouldn't you?
Because it's a Gauteng team.
David was very upset with me, but I was, what happened was he left it late. And we were right at the end of the season, the last game. And he said, no, you must stay, son. And I'd already, they made contact and said, listen. And yes, it was a little bit about the money, but also about moving forward as a coach.
Yes,
you know,
yes. The next step.
I don't know if we could have done that again at Leopards another season if we didn't invest in the team. You know, and investing meaning, you know, getting 1 or 2. It was very difficult to get players to come there. You know, I don't want to live there. You know, so there was those type of things, and I just felt the Swallows was certainly a bigger football club you know, at that stage.
Yes.
I think Leopards could be a fantastic football club. You know, if you just you know, reinvest and they get in the PSL. I think if they get in the PSL again, I think they'll kick off again. You know, because they got support in that. You know, the Swallows, Swallows was. It's amazing, eh? I'll never forget. Remember the Iwisa Maize Meal days?
Yes, yes.
So we used to play at FNB Stadium.
The charity
Cup.
Yeah,
so,
like a day tournament. 14.
So I leave Leopards. Obviously, David's upset with me. Yeah. It hurt me to leave because I didn't want to leave. Who did we draw? Leopards in the first game.
Gosh, yeah.
And then 9 o'clock. Remember those 9? You can play 9 o'clock, 11 o'clock.
12, and then
you have 3 o'clock. And there's 90,000 people in the stadium.
Yeah.
They hammer us 3-0. Hammer us. I'm at Swallows. Yeah, you see, you shouldn't have left. Look at this team is rubbish. I said, yeah, this team. I said, look, watch where we end up. You know, I said in my mind and see where you end up. You know, and we started. The supporters we play, and then we drew Pirates in the top 8. Never forget it. They beat us 5-0 at Rand Stadium. The supporters wanted to kill me. I had to go in a police escort under the kit at the back of the boot of the car. I'm like, oh, do I really need this? Leopards, they love me there. I was, you know, could do what I like there. And then we slowly, Swallows, we came 4th that year.
I remember that, yeah.
4th.
Wow.
Highest position they finished, you know, for a long time. And then obviously we kept it in the top 4, top 5. I was there 6 years, you know. Yeah.
And how difficult was it competing with, I mean, you still did not have the resources.
So Swallows, we were a selling club. So I used to work with a guy called Leon Prince.
I know Leon Prince, yeah.
Leon Prince, I feel for him, what that club did to him personally, financially, killed him. And I don't think he's ever recovered. You know, his family, I mean, he had threats and it just, he got to an age where he couldn't, you know, it was just listen, they never really accepted him, but Swallow's best time was under Leon Prince. Results wise,
yes.
We won the cup, we were in the cup final, we were in the top 4, top 5, we sold players, kept the club afloat, and then obviously I left and then they really struggled, you know.
Did you sell Mendu to Chiefs?
Yeah, I did. So there again, people say, you know, when you read things in the newspaper, like, I sold this one. I don't sell the players. I'm the coach. The club sell the players, but they want financial. They see the money.
They need the money, and
then they say, well, get on with it. I'm saying, well, you sold my best player. I need to replace, you know. But they.
How good was he, though?
Who?
Mendu, because he was one of my favorite players.
Mendu was the biggest underachiever as a footballer. Biggest underachiever. He was lazy. But he had the best football brain of anybody in terms of football. How to play.
How he understood the game.
Yeah, and he was. I mean, it was a funny story because he was out of contract, walking the street.
Sure.
And Mazulu kicked him out. I was driving around Rand Stadium. This is a true story. And I saw him running around Turffontein Racecourse. So I stopped the car. I said, what are you doing? He said, no, I'm out of contract. And I said, come to training tomorrow. 3 months later, without a job, he was in the Bafana team. 3 months.
Sure.
So I said to him, listen, you know, you're the glue here. You can make our team play, blah, 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 blah. But you need to get fit. You know, he always had a weight problem, he was a little bit over heavy. And I got him playing, and he was fantastic for me.
Yeah.
And he could play. I told him, listen, he had to go to Chiefs because the money was double, bigger club, blah, blah, blah. But I said, there you're not going to be the main guy.
Yeah, and he wasn't.
With me, you're the main guy. When you go there, you had doctors and the shoes, and you had a coach that he was never going to get on with, Dimitri.
Ted, yeah.
I said, you're never going to get on with a guy like that. He's a, you know, he's not like me. He's totally different.
Yeah.
Me, I want to give you the reins. He's going to be, you know. So, yeah, and then he phoned me, and then he went to Sundowns, and I said, you're going for money, but it's going to come to an end, you know what I'm saying?
And when you get to Supersport, firstly, why leave Swallows? You had a good thing going there.
Well, Swallows, well, obviously you leave you think that the team is better, you got more opportunity to win. Coaches, and obviously the money's better.
Yeah.
So people don't let any coach tell you, please, you want to go where you can win.
Yeah.
So you at a club, you're saying, well, we can't go any further with this team. We're not going to reinvest. The owner's got no money. We need to go to a club where So when people say, "Oh, what a great coach," yeah, you need good players. Don't talk to anybody.
Yeah.
We say, "Oh, this is a better coach than this coach," because of his record.
Yeah.
The best coaches are the ones who work with nothing and produce something.
Yeah.
But it's so much easier when you got the best quality. So you ask the Pep Guardiola, put Pep Guardiola in charge of Stoke City.
He's not winning the league, no chance.
Huh?
He's not winning.
Are you
the league.
joking with
He's
me?
Not, yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So the point I'm trying to say is, you get approached and you say, "Listen, this is a situation." I went to Leon. I said, "He said to me, listen, for your career, this is what they're offering me. I can't offer you that." I said, "This is what they offer me. Look at the team. Look at the club. It's and he rightly said, look, you've done your 6 years." He said, "Oh, 6, 7 years there."
Yeah.
Off I went.
And then when you get to Supersport, we are very.
There was a huge rejection for me to go there from the players. Yeah.
Yeah. We're new.
They didn't accept me there.
We're a fairly new channel, but we've recently interviewed Gata.
Oh yeah.
And he told us a story. He says when you arrived, it just was not working with the players.
No.
They were used to, Pito, and
Exactly.
you came in, you were different. And initially, you clashed with the players.
Yes.
It didn't really work out. You clashed with him.
Yeah.
But eventually,
Today, what is he going to say today about me? Yeah.
he's got a lot of respect for you. And he says eventually you understood them, they understood you, and you won the league. So, yeah, take us through that first season.
So I'll never forget the first day I walked in there. I walked in there without anybody introducing me to the players as well. No CEO, no chairman, no nothing. So you walk in there, I'm a new coach. You know that type of feel. And they've had a coach for 6, 7 years. And that coach has brought most of those players in.
Yeah.
So it's always going to be that, So I'll never forget the first day. They were sitting there. It was 8:30. Anybody sitting in the chain? I said, "Well, what are you guys doing here? Let's get on the field." "Oh, we're waiting for you to talk to us." "So talk to you about what?" So they were used to that.
Yes.
And then they would go train at 10:10 after I had a talk for an hour in the dressing room. That was the way he did it. Me, I'll say we'll talk on the field. So, so there was a huge change the training times, change the training. It's like that with any job. When somebody takes over from me, there's going to be that. It'll always be. So, people get used to coaches and the way they do things. And people don't like change. People don't like change. So when you set in a routine, you go to work, and all of a sudden I'm saying, you come to work at 7.
Yeah.
No, I've been starting at opposite 8.
I'm used to working at 8:30. Yeah.
Why are we working at 7?
Yeah.
Well, if you work at 7, you can finish at 3. If you work at 9, you can finish at 5. Do you want to work? What do you want to do? And then they say, "Oh, the style of I love the way the style of the football." I don't know what style. Just play.
Yeah.
Make a style. So there was a huge rejection, and after 5 games, I got called in. We were bottom of the league.
Yeah.
We were bottom of the league. True story. And I got called in. They said, "It's not working. Players don't like your methods. They're not buying into this, buying it." I said, "Well, what am I doing? So what is the problem? Am I fighting with people? Like no. It's just not buying into your methods." I said, "Well, then you should have kept your coach then." Do you want to?
You know how I operate.
You came. Where did you come last year? 7th, 8th. I said, "You want to come?" I don't want to come 7th, 8th. I was with the team. I was in the top 4. So they said, "Oh, okay." And then, it was pretty like, "Oh," but we're just very alarmed. I said, "You think I'm not alarmed? The results are not good." I said, "But let me do it. I'm going to do what I want to do now." Okay. Boom. We won the league that same year.
Did you think you would win the league? Or were you surprised yourself?
I said to the owner on day 1, when I looked at the squad, I said, "We're going to win the league here. We can win the league here. We should win the league here." He said, "Are you joking? We came 7th last year." I said, "We'll win the league here. We just need a different approach."
Yeah.
I've watched your team. I know the players. And I got 1 or 2 out and 1 or 2 in. And I changed a few things here and there. Boom.
But this has always been, just to get clarity on this, did you want Teko to leave? Because I know you guys went to Australia.
Here we go. So, I'll sit in the media and I'll listen to Teko talk.
Yeah.
And he talks the biggest load of nonsense because that's not the truth. Would I want South Africa's best player to leave the club? Are you joking?
That's why
And then they go on, he didn't fit in the style of the team. We went to Australia. I got on an aeroplane. I joined, right? The week.
Yes.
That week, we got on an aeroplane. We go to Australia. I don't know anybody. I sat there by myself. I got Teko Modise, right? I can see he's been tapped up by everybody, but that's fine. We play a game in Australia, 2-3 games. He wins man of the match. I'm saying, geez, we're going to build a team around this guy.
Yeah.
No problem, no problem. We get back, train, week or two. A week before the season starts, a week, my chairman phones me. Oh, I've had to do this deal. I said, what deal? No, we've had to sell Teko. What you talking about? I don't want Teko. Are you joking? I don't want Teko to leave. My best player.
Yeah.
No, leave. Pirates want him. Pirates have put pressure on us. Blah, blah. This is the. I said, oh, thanks. New coach. We've got problems. He left. And then the story comes out, I didn't want him, his style of play, and then he comes out saying he didn't fit into the methods. But he let him, that was the fittest he's ever been in his life. At pre-season, he did set him on his path.
Yes.
That was the fittest, because I made him work a little bit harder, put a little bit more into him. And yes, maybe we clashed on the training ground. I pushed him a little bit and he didn't like it or whatever. But to say that I didn't want him was the most,
Then you win the league 3 times in a row,
which he did say, by the way, I'm leaving Supersport to win trophies.
But
he never won anything for the last 5. He never won anything for the next 10 years. So that was a good statement. Now, me and Teko, we talk about it today. We don't have any bad feelings.
It's not personal.
But the way it came out about I didn't want him was all wrong. That's all wrong.
And then
that's the truth.
You win the league for 3 years in a row, which is unbelievable.
Doing badly in the cups. So they told me I'm a league coach, not a cup coach. I was like, sorry? Have you ever heard such nonsense?
And then you coach some good players. We can't talk about all of them, but just to mention a few. Daine Klate, when you look at everything he's achieved, what did you see? Like, what was it about him? Why he's achieved so much?
Daine Klate is like a bottle of tomato sauce. You know when you take tomato sauce and you put on the chips?
Yeah.
And what are you going to do with the tomato sauce? You got to hit it from behind.
Yeah.
Then the tomato sauce comes out.
Yeah.
So he's like a bottle of tomato sauce for me. You got to hit him and then push him and make him a little bit angry and make him, and then the thing comes out. So he was a guy that just needed a push, just needed to be told sometimes the truth. Players, and nowadays what I see with a lot of young coaches who come into the game, they lie to the players. There's a lot of false acting and hugging and and people think you're going to gain respect from a player. You'll gain respect in the short term, but in the long term, you're not going to gain respect. Because at the end of their careers, they will say, geez, that guy, we maybe didn't get on in the beginning, but that guy is a guy that pushed me to levels that I couldn't get to, that I should have been at much earlier in my career. And then you get coaches who hug and kiss players in front of the cameras. So it's all for show. But behind the scenes, they're not being honest and truthful. And if I argue, when I argue, but I argue properly. That's when you get that. But when I'm arguing you like this, and for the guy like Daine, you need to push them. They need to tell them. And today we're good friends, but we fought. And we fought with everybody. But you're pushing people to boundaries that you know they can get to. There's people that you can't push, which you leave. And I always say, there's an old saying in football, the day I stop talking to you is the day you must get worried. Because the day I stop pushing you, you must get worried. Because then I say, right, you're out. But the day I keep pushing you, and keep on your back, and you go, geez, this guy. I mean, the coach that I had when I was a player, today I can see why. But I not hated him, that's not the word. But I couldn't get on this guy. But I wanted to show him all the time because he kept pushing me and kept on my back until I said to him, why are you always picking on me? He said, the day I stop picking on you, the day you're going to problem. So Daine was one of those type of players. And then eventually he started getting 8, 9, 10 goals a season, 15, 20 assists, free kicks, corner kicks, and his work rate better. And look at the career,
And the difference between Daine Klate and Masibusane Zongo, because
Zongo much more ability. The best player I've ever seen is one of the best is Zongo. He's an unbelievable footballer. But he never had what Daine had. And you couldn't push Zongo. The more you pushed him, the more he just... So Zongo, I think Zongo sits here and says to himself, he'll say, did he have a good career? He's got it. If he's honest, he say no. And out of that group, the Ronmans, Kermit Erasmus, Zongo, Kamagelo Mokeju, he was the best. He was the best.
Comfortably the best,
He was the best. And he should have played like, he went to Feyenoord and they loved him. But he's never going to be a football that was going to be restricted. Not restricted, that's not the word. But put in a structure and say, when he played for us, when he first came in, when Daine was injured once or twice. I mean, we played against guys at Chiefs. I mean, Jimmy Tao is still looking for him. he went past him, I don't know how many times,
Yeah.
you know, and put the ball across it. But then after 5 minutes, he didn't want to stay on the left wing. He wanted to play in the middle. I said, well, Zongo, we need to get the ball out there. What are you doing here? No, I want to get on the ball. I said, we will get the ball to you. Don't you? So, and then eventually, obviously, me and him, you know, we're going to clash.
Yeah.
And we say, right, we move him on. And I feel sorry for Zongo because he's a nice guy. I like Zongo. You know, if you sit with him, Zongo, he'll laugh, and he's got a great personality.
He's a great personality.
He's a great personality, and but he's certainly somebody that way underachieved. You know, and that's just me. If he says he achieved, then you know, that's fine. If he feels he's done enough, well, that's fine.
We've also interviewed Bibo last week.
Bibo, there's another one.
And he says, because you see in that group that you just mentioned.
He was also one of them in that group.
Yes, but he was never considered the best. Right?
Well, they played him wrong, I thought, in the juniors. They played him as a number 10.
As a 10.
I put him back in the midfield as a 6 or an 8, whatever you want to call it, in a double midfield. And his career. We sold Lebo Kokana, right?
Yes.
He was a very successful footballer.
Yeah.
He was a fantastic. I signed from Black Leopards.
Yes.
And people forget about how we signed him, what we did with him. And look at his career now, you know. And then he moved on for a little bit. We moved him on for good money to Celtic. Then they said to me, what are you going to do? I said, well, I got this guy in the juniors. We'll play him. I'll go with him because I think he's good enough. But I'm going to move him back. And we won the league again with him. And Bibo was fantastic. Go to Pirates. Money, yes. Better career, yes. Bigger club, yes. But I don't think he was ever a Pirates type of player.
No.
He was a Supersport player. He would have a much better career. That we would have handled him better. And you know what happened to his career.
Sure.
But financially wise, obviously, that period he became a superstar. And, you know, and yeah, a very good player and a nice boy too. We were all shocked and surprised what happened. You know, but you can get, you know, when you're in that big bubble, you get swallowed up. If you're not, that's why you need managers like me, you know, because I'll handle it better, you know what I'm saying? There you're just a number, you know.
Coach, how do you handle that? Because that's such a common theme. See with our young players, you know, they sign, especially for the big teams, all the money. And Pagamani Matlami is another example.
Pagamani, yeah.
I mean, how do you think we can try to help these boys a bit better?
Well, there's some you can help, there's some you can't help. You know, when I played football, it was me, it was the player and the coach. Now you play football, it's the player, it's the agent, it's the owner, the CEO, the friends, and then the coach. Because they think, coaches will get fired, they'll just...
Yeah.
But all my time as a player, when I was young, I invested in my coach. That's my man. What he says goes. And if he says, don't go out or do this, or... Yes, I was naughty, we're all naughty, but within reason.
Yeah.
And I don't think coaches get enough grip on the team, especially at the bigger clubs. You're not in control of your own destiny because these guys they're getting pulled in the office by football directors. They're getting pulled in the office without the coach hearing what's been said there. They're getting the CEOs pulling them in the office without the coach. You're getting CEOs, owners of football clubs phoning players directly without the coach knowing. The coach should be in charge of all those things. And the days of the manager like the Alex Fergusons of the world, until you have that type of thing again, you're going to have this. You're going to have more of this because when you coach one of the big clubs in South Africa, you were just there. Believe you me, when they win the league at the end of the season or something, the team, the coach, oh yeah, well done. The coach should be the coach should be the biggest focus. If I said to you, of a football club anywhere in the world, who's the owner? I don't know. Who's the coach? You know the coach. In South Africa, you know the owner, but you don't know the coach. So we got it the wrong way around here. And I'm not saying the coach should be in charge of these boys, of how they live, where they live, what they do. And yes, you try and get involved, but they're getting pulled all around. And the owners are phoning players. So how's the coach? Oh, the coach is this, the coach is that. Without the coach, no, you can't have that. There's disrespect. And then you're on a time bomb, you know. So, and that's why you get the problems a lot with these players. And then obviously you get the agents. The agent's not going to tell them the truth. Agents very rarely tell them the truth. So the player's not playing. Oh, the coach doesn't like me. Yeah, you see. Then the agent goes to the CEO. I want to move him. Well, do you know that how he trained on Monday? How he trained Tuesday? Blah blah blah. What's he doing? Have you spoken to the coach? Why? How? You know what I'm saying? You know? So I think that's why you get a lot of problems with players off the field in South Africa.
And then you move to Bidvest Wits. Why the move? I'm always interested.
Well, the bottom line is we were selling players and we're not going to win you.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. They said, well, we start selling. So that team that, when we won the league 3 times in a row, I said, and I say it today, if we had kept those players together, we would have won the league 10 years in a row. Because we had Klate and the Palembes, Anthony Lafors, Morgan Gouls. I'm just giving you all his names. Dennis Oyanga, how many has he won? 12 now. Stay at Supersport, he wins 12. Do you want Morgani's, this one, that one, Tabas? They all left. So now we keep rebuilding. And yet they say, oh, we got the mentality in the club and we got the philosophy, but you're losing the quality. And then it takes time. And sometimes, somewhere, it's going to hit you. So after the 3rd year, we won the league. We went like that.
Yes.
We just made the top 8. Okay, then we came again. Same thing happened to Wits. We started selling, moving players out. You're going to hit a, you know what I'm saying? And then you think you're bringing someone in, oh, we've strengthened the team, but don't break our team. Don't break down teams too quickly, too early. And that's what happened. And Wits, and obviously the CEO left and he said to me, listen, we got this project at Wits. They want to win the league. They haven't won in 100 years. You want to come?
Is that Jose?
Yeah. He said, we're gonna invest in the team. I said, okay, now you're talking my language. You know, let's get a few players. Not that we'll do it to the extent of Chiefs, Pirates and Sundowns. We'll never invest that heavily in terms of spending and buying, but we will invest and with a clever knowledge and a tactical approach to win football matches, you know.
But is it true that Wits was investing in terms of they were able to match at least
free agents
salaries?
And we worked in the free agent market. Now people, I heard one coach say, I won't mention his name, he had a go at me in the media because I said, well, you know, they got all the players, and he said, oh, well, they spend money at Wits. We had free agents, and I'll go through all of them. You know, there's so many of them. We got the only one we bought was Butle Makonazi, who cost us we paid over the top. But we won the league and we won cups and we got in finals and he was a great investment. Tyson Latswaya was a captain. Tabang Monari. I must go through the whole team. They're all free. Freeze. So we did well there. You know what I'm saying?
But you're able to compete like salary wise and that.
So the salary wise we competed better.
Okay.
That's where the catch was. But we never went like the clubs today. They go buy somebody for 5 million or 10 million or 8 million or well, now they're buying for 50 million. I mean, geez, like.
But you had Jose Ferreira there.
Yes, that's what you need.
How important is it to have someone like that in a club?
Well, that's what I found. Which any football club, the most important thing is not to manage down, is to manage up. And if you can manage that guy, or that guy can manage you, and you have a relationship where, you know, he used to pick up the phone. I mean, I'm lying, average 3-4 times a day to me.
Sure.
So when we finished, the phone would go, how was training? Or he was at training, watching the training. And 99% of the time, you watch the training with Jonathan Schloss.
Yes.
They watch. So you're off. How many CEOs or chairmen watch training every day?
Yeah, very rare. Yeah.
So my CEO is watching training. So we had a meeting off the field. We walk off the field. We're talking about this or that. So it's a daily discussion about the team. Where some days you hear them on a Friday. Oh, what's the lineup? Oh, the lineup. No. You can't play that, guys. What? Where were you Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? You know. So that's the relationship we had. And he would tell me, listen, we need to do this, we can have to do this. What about this? What about that? And then we would discuss. And so you need that as a coach. Who motivates the motivator? Who motivates the motivator? So if you're the boss of a company, who motivates you? Who do you talk to bounce things off? Because when you're winning, it's very easy. In life, when things are bad, that's when you need that person to say, maybe it's not as bad. Them looking out, they look from out in. I'm in looking out. You know, my head's in the clouds here. When you're losing, maybe they say it's not so bad, you know, and maybe you've been over, or you know, you're not being realistic, you know.
And tell us about.
And he was the best for me.
He was.
He's the best.
He's a great administrator.
It's an absolute disgrace in this country that a guy like him is not in football, because he could take an average club and turn it into a very good club in a matter of a season. He just needs 2 windows or something, you know.
And tell us about, you won the league firstly, but you also there's one game that a lot of people remember when you beat Sundowns 3-0. Was it MTN8?
Yeah, final, yeah.
Final.
They played the Champions League final the next week.
And you beat them 3-0. What really stood out there was a moment that still trends today when your players were, keeping the ball.
At the end.
Showboat.
Yeah, they say showboat. It wasn't showboat. He was keeping the ball because we should have scored. At the end of those passing sequences, we should have scored twice. That was so when I got to Wits, we came third, second, and then first. So people say, oh, you bought players. We were building a team.
Yes.
We had problems at fullback. And that season we got in Klate and we got in Nazir Ali.
Yeah.
I'm just giving you how I was thinking. And then we got this one. So that night, the owner, Brian Joffe, was there, Bidvest, they were all there. I said to them, how much money you got? And they got millions. I said, take all your money, go to the latest bookie and back us to win this league. They said, are you joking? I said, you've come third, second. I said, this is our year. Why? Because our team is strong enough. I looked at the bench that night. When you look on your bench and you go, wow, these guys should be starting in this team, then you know your team is strong. When you look at your bench, you go, geez, I can't make a change here. Then you've got a problem. You know what I'm saying? You look at the bench, you go, no, I'm not making a change. We leave these ones on. You know your bench is strong. You know your team is strong. Your squad is strong. And that was evidence. And we started and I would say it today, and people can say what they like, Wits was the only club that would have challenged Sundowns today. Because we did. We were the last team to win the league.
Yes.
And we were. And they would never won it 8 years in a row. Believe you me, because we would have been in there, definitely challenging. They feared coming to Mill Park there. They didn't like it. Okay, it was only one game a year in the league, but we and Pitzer will tell you today that we pushed them all the way, in all those league titles, and then they won, and we came. The year that we came second, we should have won. The year we came third, we should have won it, and they won it, and then we came, Yeah, so it's. With Wits going, we only weaken South African football.
Yeah.
We weaken South African football because as a club, it's like Supersport. If they go now, you weakening the football by bringing in. I mean, Wits was, and 6 months later was Maruma Galanse were relegated. Of club that's 100 years old, just won the league.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
And tell us about that when the club was sold. Firstly, did you see it coming, or
with the change of the chairman of Wits and the CEOs, and there was a big change. Brian Joffe left, and there was a big change. You got a feeling that they don't have football at all, interest. Football wasn't their game. Horse racing, rugby, $1 million golf, whatever, that was their.
Yeah.
And football was Brian Joffe's little baby, because he loved football. He used to come Friday night. There was the only guy who was in that level who doesn't come with bodyguards. Why do these big rich people come with bodyguards? Why? Tell me why businessmen always got bodyguards. Well, they're up to no good. He used to come here with his child with a packet of chips, sit in the stand, watch a football. He's a multi-billionaire.
Yeah.
And he's got a business of... And he used to come in the changing rooms and he'd phone me and go for coffee and just chat about the team.
Yeah.
And you're going like, you need people like this in the game because they got football at heart. And we used to fight against Ivan Koza to get, because we didn't want to play Chiefs. We had to play Chiefs in the biggest stadium. Now he wants to play at Mill Park in the small stadium. Lawyers, it was like he had passion for his team. Once he left, you could see.
It's not the same, yeah.
And then obviously they pulled the plug on us, right? Which was, so many, we lost at academy. You lost players, people, the staff, people have been here 30 odd years and lost their jobs. And it was a real sad time, real sad time.
Then once Wits...
That was in COVID as well.
COVID times, yeah. And then Kaizer Chiefs. Now, I mean, everyone has always waited for you to, to go to the big three. Because it's the natural step.
It was a dream. It was a dream job. So when I was a player in the 80s, I mean, the glamour boys, when they come and they permed hair and they're black like me, and that was and they got the best suits and they got that look,
Yes.
And they, all the women and they walking in the state, they were the buzz, they were the glamour boys. They were. You always thought, gee whiz, if I could ever go there, as a player or a coach, in those days. And then when you get a chance to go, and it's just the timing is just not right,
So you think if you had gone to Chiefs at a different time?
Well, I would have stayed at Wits, wasn't I? I was at Wits.
You would have stayed, yeah.
I was at Wits. We weren't going anywhere. So we sat in the hotel. We were in 7 weeks, remember? Locked up we were in the Rosebank Hotel.
Yeah.
and the club's been sold. We got told you lost your jobs. So I pulled all the players in. I said, right, whoever doesn't want to play here, leave. We've got 8 games or 7 games left. You can leave. If you don't want to play, stay. No, we all stay. Okay, right. You know you got no job in a week, in 7 weeks' time or 6 weeks' time. Yeah, we know. In that period, the players have been sold. Tyson Latswaya, Pirates. Otto comes to me, he says, I've got 2 offers from Sundowns. What must I do? I said, Sundowns doesn't suit you. What do you mean, coach? I said, they don't play a football like you're going to play. They're not that type of team. And you're going to struggle there. You know, he's had a great career at Pirates. Tabang Manari, Ben Matswari, Vincent Pule. I'm just giving all the names. Now they're all, everybody's going. I sit there, I'm thinking, where the hell am I going? What am I doing? I've got no job. And all my staff, and I'm thinking, geez, like, I feel bad, you know? Because now it's every man for himself here. You know, that's how it sort of gets to. And they play, I mean, Chiefs in the bubble, they lost the league. Remember, they were like, they were like,
Moroka,
they struggled, Jesus. So I thought, and I looked at the team, not thinking that you're going to go to Kaiser Chiefs. You know, I mean, Ernst did great. Why they ever got rid of Ernst, I got no idea. He lost the league by 15, 20 minutes, came second. They were doing well. Anyway, we leave the hotel. They lose the league. We got no job. I'm thinking, okay, here we go. Period of, you know. And it was about 2 weeks later, I got a phone call. Listen, would you be interested in the job? I said, yeah, but. They said, what do you mean, but? I said, that team needs a, because I could see it in the bubble. They were, we played them twice in the bubble, and you could see they were just, it was a free fall. You know, they were legs and yeah, don't worry, we'll change the team. The team needs an overall. I said, fine, then I'm in. But are you going to stick to that? You know, because now I'm saying to you, you can get a few Wits players. Klate, they signed the left back. But now you couldn't play them. But I said, sign them and loan them. Do you understand? Remember, we had the FIFA ban.
Yes.
So we couldn't sign any players.
They couldn't sign players at the time,
Anyway, we go there, start the first game. I can see you. I mean, we play Sundowns first games 3-0. We play Pirates 3-0. In the derby, you could see. I'm like, but have a meeting. No, don't worry. We keep going. Start playing all the youngsters. I start playing all those kids. I think let's build a team here around these kids. Lagobo, Machini, like this one, that one. But they're not good enough. They're not ready. They're good enough, but they're not ready for this environment. But we're playing them because I'm thinking, let's build a team here. But anyway, we go in the Champions League for the first time. We go here. And Champions League is a different style of football. It's slower. It's horrible football to watch anyway. But we go. We get in the group. We get out the group. First time Chiefs ever out of a group in their history. We get out of a group. We go quarterfinals. We play Aurora. We win. We play Simba. Now we're playing Simba. Simba, the one that's in the final?
Yes.
We get to the quarterfinal. We play Simba. We hammer them 4-0 here. We go there, we lose 3-0. So there's a bit of a Barney. That's a Saturday. Come back Sunday. We got to go to Black Leopards on the Wednesday. We got hammered. They fired me on the Thursday. I said, guys, we're in the semi-final of a Champions League. Semi-final. You don't want me? No problem. Let me stay till the end of it.
Let me finish the campaign.
2 weeks, 3 weeks. Go now. Out. They got to the final. The rest is history. So, what was said behind closed doors, what was said in the, it was a little bit, But great club, it got so much potential. You saw with them winning the Nedbank now. I mean, the whole country.
The mood of the whole country just.
Durban came to a standstill. Everybody was celebrating, and you read the comments in the media. Coach, you got to give me players, Exactly what I said 4 years ago. A club like that has to keep getting the best talent, you know what I'm saying? And obviously, it's very difficult with the Sundowns. They're not going to get the place because they've obviously got a different wage level and a different scale where Chiefs won't go that level. But then you got to look at your foreign players. And I say a club like Chiefs need to get the best 5 foreign players.
Yes.
And that's the secret of all these big clubs. Your 5 foreign players needs to be of better quality. You know what I'm saying? You need to bring your best. And that's the difference between...
And you see there are Sundowns now.
Sundowns are bringing in 50, 40, 60 million rand players. Okay, mate, are they the best? I don't know. I think you can get better. My opinion. That's just my opinion. For the money you spend, I don't know what they're spending, but you hear the talk.
Based on the media reports,
Yeah. they're spending loads and loads of millions on buying foreign players. And they've gone the South American route, which is always difficult because of the language, the culture, but you need to, if you're not going to compete with them in the local market, say if a player is worth 5 million and Sundowns pay 10 million, which they'll do, or 12 million for the 5 million rand player, which Chiefs will only pay 5. Chiefs might pay good wages. But they won't pay the 12 million.
Pay the 12 million to get.
So the club say, well, let me get 12. They've only given me 5. And then the player, the money will be most probably more at Sundowns. They're going to go. So they're not going to get the best local ones because these clubs at Sundowns will outbid them.
And coach, just 2 questions to close the Chiefs chapter. Do you think if you were to coach at Kaizer Chiefs in different times without a ban, obviously not like Sundowns, but decent opportunity to sign players, you think one, you would at least push Sundowns because right now it's they've got no competition, and 2, on this issue of style and how teams should play, do you think there would be any problem for you to coach Chiefs and for people to
Do you think the people worried about how Chiefs played in the Nedbank final 2 weeks ago? Do you think people worried about? Could people tell you how the Chiefs played?
No, people are celebrating.
What do they remember?
That they were.
So when the chairman sits down with me and says to me, so what style are you going to play? I said, I'm a winner. I want to win. What does that mean, coach? I don't know. We want to win. So are people today, 2 weeks later of the Nedbank final, saying Chiefs played badly, but they won?
They don't remember. They don't remember how.
Do people talk about Spurs last night or the night before against Man United? How Spurs played?
No.
What did happen? Did they win? Do they talk about where they finished in the league? No, they won. So people have got the Sundowns. Really? They're winning. But are you really the way they play? And when a chairman or an owner says to you, oh, we don't like your style of play, do we win? Do we win? That's the most important thing. And people forget that. Springbok rugby. We winning. We won 2 World Cups, 3 World Cups. How we played? People don't care. People do care. Yes, while you're there and you're winning, you can start playing with a little bit more flair, a little bit more presence, a little bit more this or that. You can add but you need to win. And people don't remember Chiefs have had a shocking season in the league, but they won the Nedbank Cup. And people forget that. And you can't forget that. They've won a cup. Magesi. How they play football, gee whiz. They won the cup. They beat Sundowns. How they played, they won. So, going back to your question, there was a guy called Jeff Butler.
I know Jeff, the legendary Chiefs coach,
Legendary Chief coach. Did they play good football? I don't think so. But they won trophies. Joe Freckleton, 84. I was there. They won 5 or 6 trophies that season. Did they play? When they were 2-3 up. Nah, it comes. Then it comes.
I think Stuart Baxter as well.
They got criticised for the style of the football. It's helicopter. What? I hear this helicopter football. But they're winning trophies. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, do I want to play like beautiful? Yes, of course. You want to see a way of playing football. Man City this year. Everybody goes on about Man City's style of football. What did they win this year? Nothing.
Got nothing,
So, people, it should be about winning. And if you can win with a bit of style, yes. If you can win with a bit of excitement, yes. But it's got to be about winning. And that's the philosophy of any top level sport.
And then finally, Coach, Supersport, when you come back the second time, what is the difference between the Supersport that you found now and the Supersport you coached?
Well, the budget.
The budget,
Cut. The budget, the quality. In saying that, I came back this 2 years ago. And it's the first time they come in the top 4 since I left. Have they won trophies since I left? Yes, they won Nedbanks. But it's the first time I've been back in the top 4, which is, we came 3rd. We sold a few players. Must I go through that? We sold again, and then you're trying to replace and you're trying to build. Last year, Campbell went, Tapela Maseko, TT, Patrick Maswai, Weber. Must I go through all of them? You know what I mean? So you're losing, and then you put in younger ones in. It take a little bit of time. Then you start moving. So moving home grounds. We were unbeaten at Lucas Maripe. Then you go up to Polokwanis. So there's all these little factors. It sounds like excuses, no. But these are factors that are facts. You know what I'm saying? And it's a fantastic club, but it's either a club that needs a little bit more where we're going again. You know what I'm saying? You know? Yeah.
And for them to let you go when they did you foresee it? And
Well, obviously, but then it goes back to, if like I just said about, people talk about style of play, talk about the way you play, this, that. What was it about? It's about winning now, isn't it? You know what I mean? So it goes back to what I said earlier. If you're not winning, you're going to go. Something's going to happen here. And at the end of the day, the coach goes because he's the problem. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
And how sad would it be for a team like that to get relegated?
No, they won't get relegated. They won't get relegated. No, they won't get.
You think they'll win the playoff, or they won't make it to the playoff?
Well, I don't think it'll be in the playoffs. I mean, it's just my, there's a lot of factors, but it happens in football.
Yeah.
You walk away, my head's out. I don't think, what we did and how we allowed the process to go, that you can debate for days. We can talk about it for days. Why, how, what. Results, win, loss, that's what people see. They're not going to care about how many young players you sold, how the way you played, how many chances you missed, how you've dominated the games. People don't care. They see, and I'll go back to all the young coaches that come into the game. Is the most important thing in football, the 2 Ps. Played and points. All the stuff in between, it's like, I always say to you, a chairman will phone you on a Friday. How's the team? And then you'll hear a coach, no, we've trained. Hey, the boys are looking sharp. They buzzing, the energy. Come Saturday, you lose. Then the chairman phones, so when the chairman phones you on a Friday, you tell him, chairman, no, team is bad. The mood is bad. Players have trained badly. And then you win Saturday.
Yeah.
But you told me the team was bad.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's all about the result.
Yeah.
People don't see, if you're not involved and ingrained into a football team and you're there every day and you feel in the dressing room, smell in the dressing room, you've got to feel in the dressing room. Because in the dressing room is where things happen. Get said, how people train and what is going on. And you look from a distance and you come in on a Saturday and you watch it. But why? Why is it like this? I'm paying this guy. Look at the money I'm paying him, but look, he's missing a goal.
Right. We've basically covered, not in that much detail, but we've covered basically your whole coaching career.
Very quickly.
So if we just have, I don't know how much time we have. Just very quickly, if we can just discuss just some of the current affairs. Just seen our under-20s. They won the Afcon. You've introduced a lot of young players before. Right? And when you look at this crop, I don't know how much time you've had to look at them.
I watched them.
Do you think it's a group that can hopefully graduate and go to Bafana? And
you'll generally find the best solution is you take this group and they go through together, 23s, Olympics, and they go to the first team. Never happen. Because 80% of them will fall off the bus.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. They get snapped up here, their careers because of external things off the field. So 80% of that squad will go missing. More than that. And I don't want it to happen, but it's going to happen. And then you'll find late developers come from somewhere and play in the Bafana team or the national team.
Yeah.
Can you keep the group together? You would love to. I mean, there's a lot of players. There's certain elements of that team that I still think we don't have. You know what I mean? Proper number 9s, those type of things.
Yes.
And as you go up the levels, you're going to get exposed more with a little bit more, physicality in certain areas and that type of thing. So, yeah, they've done fantastically well, and they played against some bigger, stronger boys, and they looked like there was huge togetherness there. That's something that can take you to areas where, when they go to the World Cup, now we're talking maybe a different level. You're going to play against different, but for the experience, what we need to do is we need to get more players at the country.
Yes.
Now, until we do that again, we cannot become really, I don't think, a strong international force. And the more we get out playing at other leagues, the better will we become, I think, and the better the things we can bring back here as well. So it doesn't mean our local league doesn't fit it or make it, but I do think there's a lot of players in South Africa, and the problem is they're not going to be able to move because clubs are keeping them and not allowing it. Where the club's going to say they want 50 million. They're going to offer 40. They're going to say no. And when you offer 50, they want 60. It's just, I'm just giving it to you in a simplified form, maybe. And I think opportunities should be given a lot to these players to move, if they can move. You know?
How far do you think Shandre Campbell can go?
Shandre Campbell has got a mind better than a 30-year-old experienced professional. He's got a mindset of already, and I just hope that, and I don't think it will happen, that he's going to have a little bit of a dip because it's, you know, the lights is going to start shining. But he's got the mentality of to want to improve, to want to win. He enjoys training. He's a boy that I used to, you know, when you come to training as a coach every day, there's certain players you go, oh, jeez, this is like pulling teeth here, this guy.
Yeah.
But he's a guy that excites you at training because he wants to win in the five-a-sides. He wants to win. He wants to shoot. He wants to score. He wants to, you know, Benni was like that at 17.
Yeah.
That was a big thing about Benni, the desire to want to win in training. And Shandre Campbell's got that. And he's at the right place, right club. Did he go too early? For me, oh, yes. I think he would have waited another year. But what they're doing with him now, they're grounding him. By not letting him go to the under-20s and then this thing now, it's a short-term thing.
Yeah.
And obviously it's affecting him now.
Yeah.
Because, oh, I should have been there. Well. But short-term, let's forget short-term. Let's look at the picture down the road.
Picture,
and right now, the bigger picture is for him to stay where he is and get in that first team. And believing me, that big move will come to a Bundesliga, maybe an English Premier League or something, you know. That's where the game is, you know.
And finally, Coach, Sundowns play the Champions League final. I mean, firstly, I mean, how, you as a coach, you've coached at the highest level. You know how difficult it is to go into Africa. How impressive is it? I mean, the fact that they're going to semi-finals now every year and.
Okay, so there's a Sundowns way of doing things, and there's a Wits or a Supersport way of doing things.
Yes.
So Sundowns will go 3 days before with 40 people. Supersport will go day before with 18 people. So preparation is I do think the league, the PSL help the teams much more now in the Champions League.
Okay.
Putting games off.
Yes.
Changing fixtures. I'll give you an example. When I was at Wits, we play Chipper in East London on the Tuesday night. And we play Nalachli on Saturday night in Egypt. Okay? Now you're in East London. Wednesday, get in the plane. Right? No, it was Wednesday night. It was Wednesday. Get back here Thursday. We play Nalachli on Saturday night in Egypt. Go home, get to change your stuff, fly Thursday night. We just came, arrived there Friday morning. Don't even train. Play Saturday night, Alakli, 70,000 people. If it was the other club, they would be a Wednesday fixture.
Yes.
It would be, and we lose 1-0 or something. And they come back, we beat them here. So the preparation is a big thing. I think clubs can afford to, you know, have a little bit more scope with numbers, a little bit more scope with medical staff, all these type of things. And they do things differently and better.
Yeah.
And their focus is certainly that in that area. And obviously, they can sign extra players, which will give them a little bit for the long run. Where we're saying we lose our 6 or 7, or out of the 11, we lose 1 or 2 out of our best 6 or 7. We got a problem, you know.
And you see how Sundowns is dominating the league. I mean, 8 years in a row. Do you think the problem is that Sundowns is just spending too much, or do you think the problem is that everyone else is going backwards?
No, I think the gap has got bigger with the haves and the have-nots. So there's 3 or 4 clubs who can pay decently, and the other ones are really going from hand to mouth. Unless, but do people want to invest in these clubs? But because they feel they're not getting a fair shake from the club. They're not getting, where's the money going? Blah 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 blah. I mean, are the owners trustworthy enough to put the money, to give them 10 million on the front of the jersey? I don't know. You know what I'm saying? So these are the questions that get asked in the corporate world. And then I hear statements come out, one chairman saying they're not going to sponsor certain clubs because of certain things. And I'll go like, well, maybe you should look at yourself. You know what I'm saying? You know, before, because what you do off the field is certainly maybe getting out there. But so there's a lot of things. Nobody can compete with Sundowns, not even Chiefs or Pirates. with the transfer fees of buying of players. And I don't think Chiefs or Pirates want to go there. They can still get away with it, having good teams, because they've got the support base, they've got the numbers, you know. And that can, you must always remember, a team like Wits or Supersport to win the league, you need an extra 10 points. Because Chiefs and Pirates get an extra 10 points by having a crowd when they go to Cape Town. We go to Cape Town, there's one man and a dog there. They go to Cape Town, there's 20, 30. They get more people away from home than they do at FNB Stadium. So that gives them support, gives them motivation, it gives them intimidation, it gives them all those type of things. You know what I'm saying? So it's very difficult for lesser clubs to win leagues. That's why you've got to be so much better, you know. And the self-motivation, when the Sundowns at Supersport of Wits play a Golden Arrows, there's 150 people. You got to have that motivation as a player to say, hey, and that's why players want to move on to go and get the derby at 90,000 and those type of things. So it's very difficult for these smaller clubs to challenge. You know, I think the gap is just getting bigger and bigger and wider now, you know.
And how do you see the final playing out?
This Pyramid team is a good team.
Very good. Very good.
You know, they got a guy that can score goals for free, for fun. I think they got a good defensive structure. Yes, they'll be a little bit counter-attackish and sit off, and Sundowns don't play maybe at the speed that, you know, they should be a little bit quicker the way they play. They play in these daytime games because they feel free, and it works for them. I don't, if they haven't got a little bit of a lead going there, I think it's going to be, but I think Sundowns are better away. Because the other teams will come out a little bit more. You know, they'll come onto you a little bit more. Space will be there a little bit more. But I think they need a bit of a lead to go away when they go in the second leg, you know. But this game, if it was unlucky, I would say, because they're not unlucky, not the same as the force that they used to be. But this team is a little bit different. They got a little bit more determination in them. You know, I mean, the coach is he's really, you can see he's up for it, and I think it's a club that's wanting to achieve, where Alakli have achieved so much. Sometimes you get that, you know. You got to be careful. Winning is good, but winning breeds, you know, you got to keep winning. And you got to keep that motivation. It's like Sundowns now. There's a group of players there that they're going to have to move them out soon, because you'll get so bored of winning. And I don't say it in a bad way, but winning is good, but it's also bad in a way, because you need to keep that mentality. And by keeping, either the coach has got to go, or the players have got to go. If you're keeping the coach, players must go. But if the coach can go, bring a new motivation in, a new way of doing things, but players, you're going to have to change. When you're winning, you need to change.
And as a coach, how do you manage these two-legged ties? Because you want to get a big advantage at home, but at the same time,
they've still got the way goals count.
Goals still count.
In Africa, in Europe, it doesn't.
Find that balance.
Well, in Africa, it doesn't count now anymore.
It still counts.
It still counts.
Yeah, it's in Europe where they've.
Sorry. It still counts here. The way goal means 2, you know. And this team can score.
They can score.
This team can score. That's why I say they need a bit of a lead, and they need a 1-0 or 2-0 with no goals against lead. You know. So I don't know. I mean, listen, he looks a little bit. They look a little bit. What's the word? Not luckish. They look a little bit at their time again, you know what I'm saying, Sundowns. And to be fair, it's hard to say this, but it'll be a bit of underachievement this season, you know, if they don't win this thing.
If they just win the league.
You know, they lost that bloody Telkom Cup, they lost the top 8 cup, the Nedbank, you know, so the league is forgiven always, you know. So I don't mean it like that, but what I'm trying to say is, they will be barely disappointed just winning the league. Okay, they've got to the final, which is the first priority. They should be in the final, minimum semi-final, but they should be in the final most years now, where the club has gone. And not to win it, it's going to be there'll be a lot of introspection, a lot of head scratching if they don't win this thing, you know, because of the investment. You know?
And finally, Coach, you've now joined the unemployed gang.
This is not for me, eh?
Do you still have, you still want to go back?
Like right now, I should be on the grass coaching, you know. I should be out there. It's driving me crazy. I can't do this. I'm being off my head. I can walk so much on the beach. I can play so much golf. I can ride my bicycle so much. I can go for a walk so much and read books and coffee shops. And but I can't do this. I'm nowhere near that stage.
But at this stage in your career, in your life, what kind of a project are you looking for?
Well, you want a project where you want a realistic club.
Yeah.
Realistic club to what you've got. Not unrealistic where you're at a club where we must win the league. Are you joking?
Yeah.
You want to be at a place where you're going to be given a little bit of leeway to, if it can be done, or if it, you know what I'm saying? Not unrealistic. Oh, I need that player. Oh, he costs 50 million. Well, we can't. We can only spend 2.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to give you an example.
Yes.
So you need to be realistic. You need to have a situation where we have a good youth structure. You need to be in a situation where we have a good facility to train. You need to have a good home facility, and all these type of things. And you have a good interaction with the person that owns the club, or the chairman, or whatever it is. So that's what you would like to do.
Yeah.
Do you get that? That's the real world. Every club has hiccups and bumps along. There's bumps, and how you gonna go through the bumps together? It's knee jerk. Oh, you're out. Okay, well, and there's too much of that these days. There's too much chopping and changing, and I look at Stellenbosch. You look at them now. They've had a coach for 8-9 years now, and they're really competitive now. So that's what you want. There's been a gradual and they've had bumps. They were right at the bottom 2 years ago. They were at the bottom of the league, and they got Rainers from us.
Yes.
And they scored 10 goals in the second round. And they came, and they've been really competitive. When they hit another dip again, the chairman will know they've been there with this coach. They can come out of this dip again, and that's what you need, And you'll find the football will be better on the whole in the league. But when you're chopping and changing, you're not going to get that. You're not going to get that.
Coach, thank you so much for giving us the time, and we really wish you all the best. Hopefully you'll be back in a job soon, and let's see how it goes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.